Okay, Xbox Game Showcase 2025 in the can. That's a wrap. For me, these things are always about the games, but there's no escaping the fact that the big reveal here is going to be the hardware. Xbox partnered with ROG to give us basically an Xbox ally. This thing is pretty interesting. I'm not 100% sold on it yet, but I think a lot of that's going to come down to price, if I'm being honest. You know, there's no escaping the fact that we're getting into a world where these devices aren't necessarily giving you access to new games. They're giving you a new way to play. So I'm going to want to see more specs. Definitely want to see a review on how this runs games and if it's going to be am I going to be happy with the Xbox Ally 3 years after I buy it? Because if not, I probably want to wait for, the next iteration, whatever Xbox does with their like true handheld, if that happens, or, if another company's going to come behind and give it competition. What is the Steam Deck 2 going to do? There's a lot of things swirling here, a lot of interesting angles. The two big things really with this Xbox handheld is that, one, it's coming with multiple storefronts. So they directly mentioned Steam, GOG, Ubisoft Connect, in addition to Xbox PC and obviously like Game Pass. The other is that it's getting a souped up version of Windows for gaming, right? So the Xbox team has been able to work with the Windows team, and this is what they're calling the Xbox full screen experience. So think like Steam big picture mode. It looks slick. It looks clean. You're getting access to all of those storefronts. You're getting access to any Xbox Play Anywhere title. They say there's about 1,000 of those. And you're also getting access to Game Pass. You're not getting, unfortunately, your whole Xbox library, which obviously, right? Like it seems like obviously now when you think about it, but for me, that would be like the dream. I have an extensive library digitally on Xbox, and I would love to be able to take that portably. But in reality, I just don't think that's going to be something that is easily obtainable. Certainly not in the next few years. I think that's going to be a long effort, right, of unifying those two systems fully. However, you are getting the option to remote play from your console on this thing, much like you can already on a phone or on a Steam Deck with a little bit of finagling. So it's interesting. They keep talking about how much it feels like an Xbox. I can't judge it. I haven't got my hands on the thing, but the shape of it, to me, you can even just look in the video and the images. It's not kicked out, like slanted out the way like an Xbox controller is. It looks much more like the DualSense. But really, that could change once I get my paws on it, right? Because if it feels like that, because I think the main thing is the thumb placement and how it feels to move between the face buttons and the D-pad to the sticks, right? That sort of sweeping motion is what makes it feel like an Xbox controller. And then if it's a wide enough grip. So we'll see there. It's exciting. It looks cool. Again, they didn't say price on this thing. I think that's going to be a huge driver. The ROG Ally X is over $800. If this comes in there, I think it's going to be a tough sell based on how they're talking about this. They do a 10-minute deep dive on the Xbox website where they go into kind of what this is, and they really hammer home like this is a premium product, which makes me think this is going to be very expensive, unfortunately. But I think it's a step in the right direction. My favorite thing about Xbox for years now has been their push towards Play Anywhere, the freedom to play on my laptop, at my desktop, on my TV, on the Xbox, even doing some, limited amount of cloud gaming on my iPad or on my phone. It is nice. It's just the main hiccup with it is it's limited. They do say, though, that every game in this show is going to be Play Anywhere. So hopefully what that means is going forward, there's a much heavier emphasis with their third-party partners and with developers coming to Xbox that they want it to be a Play Anywhere title, right? That they want it PC and console and cloud. If they can start achieving that, I think this is very interesting. If nothing else, this is some good competition for Steam. We'll see. I keep coming back to it, but it's going to be the price, man. It really is. If they can get this thing in under if they can 600, 700, maybe it's interesting. I mean, I would love to see $499, but I don't think there's any world where it hits that. ROG can't subsidize this the way a platform can subsidize it. I've been waiting for a device that offers multiple storefronts because I do get a lot of value out of Game Pass. I like it. You know, I grew up as a Blockbuster kid, renting a lot of games from Blockbuster, and I like that feel from Game Pass. That there's a lot I can try a lot of games without investing the 60, the 70. I mean, hell, we're getting into $80 games. All right, let's get into the games now. All right, the meat and potatoes of this show. And look, I'm not going to talk about all of them. Not all of them interested me, and so all I would be really be saying is like pass. But let's kind of go through. I'm going to highlight what stood out to me. We'll take a little bit of a deeper dive into some of these because there's some pretty interesting write-ups on the Xbox Wire site around some of these games. Call of Duty Black Ops 7 ended the show. It was their one more thing, and I was pretty disappointed in it as a one more thing. I'm going to play COD. I play it every year. It's a good time, especially now that it's on Game Pass, but it's just not what you're expecting for a one more thing. It doesn't feel like a mic drop moment. It's annualized. We know it's coming. Now, I will say, it fooled me in the first half. The opening of this sets it up like it's going to be some sort of kind of cool, like sci-fi single player game. Maybe it's not that. It's COD, and you know it's Black Ops 7, so they're going from 6 right to 7. Usually, you know, you get a game or two in between. So that in and of itself is interesting that they're asking Treyarch and Raven Software to go again so quickly. But yeah, it's COD. I mean, there's not a ton to say about it. You know if you like it or not. At this point, you know if you like Call of Duty or not. Okay, and then we've got Clockwork Revolution from inXile. I've not played a ton of inXile games. I'm not a CRPG, isometric RPG type player generally, but this looks cool. It looks interesting. They do talk about it in this write-up that this is still like a deep RPG. So we'll see if that hooks me. Deep Western RPGs don't always hook me, with the exception of like Skyrim. I usually don't gel to these always, but it looks fun. It looks like it's got some good action combat. It looks like it's got some good first-person shooting. Maybe the first-person shooting looks serviceable. Let's go with that. But it looks like it's got a good sense of humor. I'm surprised you actually don't see more steampunk in games. I think it's neat. The talking doll really reminded me of, this is a deep cut for super nerds, but Hairlock from the Steven Erikson Malazan Book of the Fallen. I'm sure, who knows if that's the inspiration, but I can't see a foul-mouthed doll and not think of Hairlock from Malazan. Anyway, okay, I'm not going to derail this video game conversation with fantasy novels. Let's dive into this. You're playing as Morgan Vanette, or Vanet, a customizable player character and member of the Rotten Row Hooligans gang, who discover the worlds they live in has been altered by the enigmatic Lady Ironwood. She's manipulated history through her use of time travel. Here's the kicker, player. You now get to control time travel. Stick the bullets back in your gun. If you mess up, you can rewind, which is going to be maybe a cool mechanic to I think, to really let you try out different attack angles and different ways of solving the problem without save scumming. So it's almost like built-in save scumming into the gameplay loop. So that's an interesting idea, like in and of itself, save scumming as a game mechanic. So yeah, I hope this one hits. It doesn't have me, frothing at the mouth or anything, but I'm definitely keeping my eye on this one. They also announced the new game from Double Fine, Keeper. So this comes from one of their designers, Lee Petty. And, I think it looks cool. It's going to have exploration, puzzle solving, and unexpected departures from reality, which is always good in a video game. I think for me, the thing about this is I really, really liked Psychonauts 2, the last thing we got from Double Fine, but that was 2021. I think like into 21. It came out right before like Forza Horizon 5 and like Halo Infinite, which feels forever ago. I know it's only been a few years, 4 years, but I just kind of expected more from Double Fine. This looked good. I'm going to check this out, but it did look like a smaller game in scope. And that's been this kind of weird recurring theme from Xbox with a lot of the stuff they picked up in 2018, right? Like with Sensu, the Hellblade 2 sequel, Sensua's Sacrifice, which did not work for me at all. South of Midnight, even Avowed. Like it seems like a lot of these that have been sort of hyped up over time, they're smaller in scope. And I think that's kind of the reality of where we're at with gaming right now. Like these smaller scoped, more tighter focused games are good. They allow publishers to put games out at maybe more of a reasonable price, But my thing is, you'd expect it to be at a more reasonable cadence. It seems like Double Fine has been quiet for a long time. Maybe they're working on something else. I hope they are. Not necessarily a Psychonauts 3, but either another game of this kind of scale or something bigger. But I would be very surprised if for the last few years this was kind of all they were doing. It just seems like Xbox sort of has an issue with like scoping things properly. Like, did this need the... How could... It seems like this is going to take 5 years, or I guess 4 years. I guess this is 4 years if they started it right after Psychonauts, but it just seems like, okay, hopefully this is good. It just... I don't know. I think maybe this is a me problem. I think I just overhyped in my mind. Like, Double Fine's next game is going to just wow me, knock me off my feet. And, you know, maybe this will be something I love. It doesn't look bad. It looks interesting. It just, the scale was a little bit less than I'd kind of anticipated. Which is hypocritical of me, I know, because I talk about how, you know, games are getting too big in scope. I don't know. Maybe it's just not finding the middle ground I wanted. They also mentioned Gears of War Reloaded. And look, I'm not going to talk about an Xbox showcase that mentions Gears of War and not bring up Gears of War. I love Gears of War. You know, it's the first game. We already got the remake of this or remaster with Gears of War Ultimate. This is going to be an even better version of that. That's cool. It's exciting. Interested in checking out the multiplayer. I really was hoping we'd get more than just the first Gears of War. I think they're doing this honestly because as they bring this franchise, you know, across to PlayStation, and they want to get their money, right? So they're going to do Gears 1, 2, 3, hopefully. But for me, it's like, man, the multiplayer in 1 is good, but it wasn't until like 2 and especially 3 that like the multiplayer like really hooked me. And yeah, I've played Gears of War 1, the campaign, so many times. Like, I will go in and replay it. I will. I love Gears of War, but I'm not like blown away or super excited to replay it. It's just like, oh, cool. Which is, man, it's been a lot of the show. It's just been like, oh, cool. Yeah, that's good, but not like, whoa. So I don't know. I think my expectations were just maybe too high for this show in general as I talk here and go through this, because man, last year's 2024 showcase, Xbox knocked it out of the park. And I guess they can't do it every year, but I wish they could. We also got new gameplay of Ninja Gaiden 4. And it looks awesome. And, you know, earlier this year playing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black was incredible. Love that experience. Super excited. I know Ninja Gaiden is one of those games that like there's so many different versions of it and people argue about which one's the better version. The better version is the one that you're excited to play. Just play this series. Like, Ninja Gaiden is really fun. Highly recommend it. This one's going to be interesting, right? Like, Team Ninja's doing it in collaboration with Platinum. Platinum has obviously knocked it out of the park with games like Nier Automata, Astral Chain. But recently, you know, their more recent stuff like, what was it, Fall of Babylon or whatever? Babylon's Fall. I don't know. The one that like already is gone, already shut down, taken off storefronts. That's not been so great. So hopefully this is on the good side. You know, I don't think Team Ninja would put someone on this if they weren't, you know, pretty confident in it. And honestly, reading this like breakdown, there's a lot of exciting things they're talking about doing in this, and they say some interesting things that like get me personally very excited for this game. Okay, they talk about it being a new era of Ninja Gaiden, right? So they talk about you have the ability to take some of the signature moves, like the obliteration technique, and you can weave it into combos better. And they also talk about how, hang on. I'm trying to find where I was. This is a long ass article. Seriously, if you're interested in Ninja Gaiden, this might be worth checking out. But they talk about the combat skill Fatal Flash, which lets you slip in an instant follow-up input when you successfully match your attack with the enemy's attack. So this forces enemies to drop blood essence even when they aren't entirely defeated. So you can then transition into the ultimate guidance technique to launch a series of ultimate technique hits. So it seems like this is going to be very driven on allowing you to like build your combos into like a snowball effect. They also mentioned the Blood Raven form, which when activated, it causes all your regular inputs to perform completely new moves. If you jump while in Blood Raven form, Yakumo, the new character, will plunge his sword into the ground and then extend it vertically, allowing him to momentarily survey the battlefield from up high. Eventually, you'll learn to launch attacks from this state, but at its core, it's a technique best used to pause in invincibility and observe enemy movements. Okay, that's interesting. I've never in a Ninja Gaiden game been like, man, I wish I could get a better look at the battlefield right now. But maybe that's how they're building 4, where you are going to want to be able to like pull back, and it makes you wonder like how complex are these attacks going to be? Is it going to be where you're like, I need a breather, I need to get up high, they're coming in from, they're coming in from this entrance and this is over here. Is it going to be that complicated where you need that bird's eye view? I don't know, but it makes you think. They also talk about in the Bloodraven form, you can use a counter move called Hogeki, which can deflect enemy attacks and even cause stagger in super armored foes. If you want to take a cautious and safe approach, they say, against enemies, you can match a long-range Bloodraven form technique on their strong attack to cause a Hogeki relatively easily. However, by staying afar, you give up your ability to follow up on the staggered enemies. So you have a seesaw game where you have to decide to take either the safe route with diminishing returns or maximize your gains by staying as close range as possible to your enemies in hopes of a successful Hogeki. Yes, I love it. I love that they're encouraging aggression. I love when action games really push you to really be aggressive and push forward and keep the momentum going. And this game seems like it's going to be very much about keeping the momentum in combat. You're also getting a grappling hook like tool called the Caddis Wire, which lets Yakumo soar through the air. Look, it's a grappling hook. We know it. We love it. You don't need to say much more, right? And you get a Berserk gauge, which builds as you land hits, take damage, or perform the obliteration technique, encouraging aggressive combat. Once again, love to hear it. So another thing that really caught my eye about the Ninja Gaiden 4 write-up here is they have an interview with Yuji Nakao, producer and director of the game. And they asked him this question about, let me find it. They asked him this question about how they feel like this game, Gaiden 4, is going to have an impact on not just the future of the series, but the games industry as a whole. And he said, speaking from a somewhat personal perspective, I grew up during the golden age of 3D slash action games. For people of my generation, it feels like the type of games we grew up playing have become a lot less common in recent years. Instead, we've seen the rise of Souls-like games, which have certainly become very popular. Of course, I've played and enjoyed many Souls-like games myself, but at the same time, I also think there's some truth to the belief that classic 3D slash actions have been harder to find lately. Amen, brother. Amen. Maybe it's just my own wishful thinking, but I can't help but feel that a lot of action game fans are starting to crave that experience again. Isn't it about time we all dove back in? Yes, that gets me stoked. You can't undersell the impact Souls-like games and like the Dark Souls series and Elden Ring have had on gaming. But so many action games are just following the formula, and it's like there's so many action games that are just another worse version of a Souls game. And so it's really exciting to go back to like character action, hack and slash, or slash action as they call it. Yes, that's my favorite type of action game. I'm super excited we're going back in that direction. Not that there shouldn't be Souls games. They're just, let's get some balance. I would love a world where people are like, man, there's too many hack and slash character action games. All right, we've also got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4 coming. We knew it was coming. They showed off a Ninja Turtle collab, which I would normally be excited for, but it's like the bad Ninja Turtle design, like the new one. No, I like the old school. I like the 90s turtle design. But obviously I'm going to play Tony Hawk 3 and 4. Another one to mention, Beast of Reincarnation. Now, this is probably a Souls-like, speaking of, but the interesting thing is it's from Game Freak, the company behind the Pokemon games. Now, obviously, Game Freak isn't owned by Nintendo wholly, so they're able to go, make what they want to make. But it's interesting they're making a game like this with these graphics, and then you look at like Pokemon graphics, and you're like, okay. Worth mentioning, Final Fantasy VII Remake is coming to Xbox finally. Haven't played it yet, but I have played Final Fantasy 16, which comes to Xbox today, and it is very fun. This was a super cool game. Really enjoyed it. I will say, though, the boss fights in this game are awesome. So much fun. That's what you're pushing towards. The actual enemy fights were kind of too easy. Like, you don't feel like they're pressuring you. You're just like, it's like doing action game attacks on these guys, and they're just getting whooped up until you get to a boss fight or there's you can do bounty hunts in these, and where you bounty hunt monsters. Some of those fights are pretty fun and good, and they pressure you correctly. But I mean, this one, for the story, the graphics, and the boss fights and the music, oh my gosh, the music in Final Fantasy 16 hits. I'm not going to leave out Invincible Versus, a fighting game from the show Invincible. I've only seen season 1 of the show. This trailer made me be like, oh, I gotta speed run the rest of the show to get ready for this game. I cannot believe Summer Game Fest had Invincible Versus, and we got Marvel Tokon from PlayStation. 2 new fighting games that look really, really cool. This is exciting stuff. Like, I don't know how these are such big announcements, but they were. I'm excited. Fighting games feel like it's like Renaissance time for these, or not Renaissance time. But just maybe like there's, especially with it being Marvel and Invincible, like, is there going to be a resurgence in popularity? Because I think a good casual boost would go a long way for fighting games. Obviously, Street Fighter 6 is like majorly popular. Tekken has had some ups and downs with patches, so like I think its player base seems a little low, at least looking at like SteamDB. But that one could bounce back, and Mortal Kombat's kind of floundering a bit. They've already said they've kind of reached like end of life on updating that one. So I feel like having Invincible and like Marvel, it's like going to be a great shot in the arm for fighting games. Very cool to see. Oh, I just want to mention Mudang 2 Hearts. This one looked really cool. It's from a Korean developer, and the crazy thing is you're going to play 2 characters. You're going to play a K-pop idol who holds a dangerous secret, and you're going to play a North Korean Special Forces operative. If you told me that the Xbox Showcase was going to highlight a game where you play a Special Forces operative from North Korea, I would not have believed you. Like, what? I'm gonna be playing this one just to see where they go with this. This is crazy. Planet of Lana 2 sequel, not much to say. The first game, you could beat it in like 4 hours, but it was a really fun experience. It was one of those like palate cleanser games. I love those sort of games that like you can play them in between like a deep, like, oh, I have this 30-hour game, or I have, like if you play a JRPG or something, play a game like this afterwards, kind of cleanse the palate before you jump into like, some 20-hour action game. So I'm excited for Planet of Lana 2. I like that it's coming to Game Pass, because it's the kind of game that like, oh, it's a no-brainer just to pop this on between games because it's already on the pass. A new Plague Tale. I didn't know what to think as I was watching this. It looked cool, but you're not seeing a ton of gameplay, so you're like, what is this? The fact that it's a Plague Tale game, I'm instantly in. I loved the first 2 Plague Tales. I think they're really underrated as far as like third-person narrative adventure. They're AA, but like they really punch above their weight. They have like beautiful AAA graphics, but they don't slouch on gameplay. Like you still get fun, engaging, like exploration and serviceable combat, and they're just like an overall great package. I really enjoyed the first 2. This one looks very cool. You're following one of the side characters from the second game. It's like a prequel 15 years before events of that game. And you go to the Minotaur's Island to unravel ancient secrets and confront the creature at the heart of a devastating curse. This thing looks awesome. If that's the Minotaur, that's such an awesome shot. I'm pumped to see this one. Super Meat Boy 3D. I never played the first Super Meat Boy. It looked interesting. I like 2D platformers, but I love 3D platformers. So seeing this, it's like, oh boy, I'm gonna be checking this one out. Hopefully it's good. It looks like it's going to be one of those games that like makes you want to put a controller through the drywall, but I'm here for it. We've also got a lot of like DLC and updates for live games. Don't play a ton of those. I will jump back into Indiana Jones though for the DLC. Had a lot of fun with that game at the end of the year last year. So excited to dive in for more. Sea of Thieves Season 17. I'll be honest, this will probably make me download Sea of Thieves Season 17 and play for like 2 hours, but the game's fun. I'll probably get a couple hours enjoyment out of it. It's nice to just see this game's still going strong. It is, I think, a very unique title. There's really not anything like Sea of Thieves on the market. So it's cool to see this one still finding like new ways to stay inventive. That's kind of everything that popped out to me. I mean, there were a few other cool things, but we'd be here all day, and I'm sure you got stuff to do, so I should go.